October 19th, 2024, New Reality. We continue the topic of unity with your spirit. Let me remind you what we talked about last time. Now we have two fractals. 1. Our spirit is an element of the fractal of universal consciousness. Our consciousness as a derivative of the spirit is also its element, only a step lower. 2. Our life as a dream of the spirit is an element of the dream fractal. And our dream, as our ordinary dream, is also its element and also a step lower. For now, let's just record these theses and move on. In the comments, a question was once asked: in what other way, besides activating the braid of intention, declaring intention, pronouncing thought forms, visualizing the target frame, can one control reality after true awakening? Answer: you control reality when you control yourself. That's right. First you control yourself, and only then reality. And you control reality only if you control yourself. Being able to control yourself is the most difficult task, which is why workarounds such as classical transurfing and Tufte techniques have been invented. In transurfing, reality is controlled indirectly, using attention-focusing techniques such as scrolling a target slide or amalgam. Your reality is filled with everything that your attention is focused on. In Tufte, reality is set by sending an intention with the help of a braid. This is already a direct assignment of individual events, but still not direct control. Direct control occurs in lucid dreaming. You can control lucid dreaming when you turn into intention itself, become intention itself. By analogy with what we called becoming attention itself. It is approximately the same. For example, to lift yourself into the air and fly, you need to turn everything off and become one whole intention, just one aspiration to rise into the air. Here is a fragment from Apocryphal Transurfing. Flying in dreams gives a wonderful opportunity to feel what external intention is. You do not make efforts, but simply express the determination to rise into the air. If such an unconditional, even emotionless determination is achieved, some external, not internal, force lifts you off the ground and everything happens as if by itself. Note: the force is not inside you, but outside. You only express readiness. Try to feel your unity with this external force. In the same way, controlling dream characters becomes possible if you merge with the power, feel like the master, the owner of your dream. The characters become completely subordinate to you and do whatever you want. But you do not command, do not order them, but combine your will with their will. And when do you become the owner of your dream? When you remember yourself, you move one step higher in the fractal of consciousness. And in the same way, you become the owner of your life when you connect with your spirit, that is, with the one who watches the dream of this life. The manifest reality is much more inert than the reality of a dream, but even in the manifest reality, a lot is possible if you move in the fractal and become the owner. Once upon a time, many years ago, a reader shared his experience with me. At a disco, there was a conflict over a girl, and a whole crowd of hooligans pounced on him. And the guy was not distinguished by his physique, strength, and determination. He was a nerd in general. In such a situation, as he said, something came over him. Out of desperation. It was unrealistic to cope with them, and he didn't want to be beaten and give up on the girl either. Then he fell into a kind of trance and, not remembering himself, easily scattered them all, without making any effort and not understanding how it happened. I was very surprised then. How is it possible? And now I understand that he somehow spontaneously managed to connect with his spirit and become the owner of this fragment of his life as a lucid dream in reality. Non-contact combat occurs in a similar way. This is when the master makes only symbolic movements with his hands, without even touching the enemy, and the latter backs away and falls, writhing under the influence of some invisible force. In order to do this, the master must enter a certain state. They do not call it the state of unity with the spirit, but in essence, that is exactly what it is. Hypnosis is also possible not because someone has a soulful voice and a hypnotic look. A real hypnotist enters a state of unity with the spirit, even though he doesn't call it that, and combines his will with the will of the subject. Here you have control over characters in a waking dream. There have been cases in war when a grenade falls near a soldier, and he falls into a kind of trance, in which he sees, as if in slow motion, how the grenade begins to explode, and he manages to do many things, including taking cover. This also happens to pilots, when in a couple of seconds they complete actions that would normally take minutes. All this becomes possible because they, being in spontaneous unity with the spirit, fall out of the current time, rise above time, or more precisely, become time itself. Martial arts masters, real masters, show incredible miracles of reaction when they freely control many attackers, being surrounded by them. It would seem impossible. The reaction of all people is approximately the same, with only a small difference that does not allow doing this. But here again the effect of slow motion. The master is outside the current time and sees not the rapid movements of the opponents, but slow ones. So he does not care at all how many of them are attacking him. In his time, he will have time for everything. In the movie, The Matrix, such an action is shown clearly, but this is not fantasy. I have also had non-fantasy things happen in my life. When I was very little, I once broke free from my grandmother's arms and rushed madly onto the road right under the wheels of a bus. According to all the laws of physics, the bus would not have had time to brake. The braking distance cannot be cancelled. But my grandmother managed the impossible. She was able to stop the bus with some incomprehensible force. It simply stood still, as if rooted to the spot. So much for the inertia of reality. What is the conclusion from all that has been said? It is not necessary to pump up your strength in the gym, or study martial arts for many years, or strive to achieve utter perfection in something, following a very difficult roundabout path. There is a shorter way. This is the path to your spirit, to yourself. You can remain a nerd or a plain girl, but develop in yourself the power of spirit, incomparable with the strength and attractiveness that cool guys and supermodels have. And then you can truly say, https://Zealands, are you/Vladilets-Snovideni.